Jewish Education in Media is pleased to present L'Chaim, a program that highlights the people, issues, and events of importance to the Jewish community. Now here is your host, Rabbi Mark Golub.
On L'Chaim, I have the pleasure now of sitting with one of the most creative academicians on the Israeli scene today, Dr. Aaron Ben Ze'ev, the distinguished professor of philosophy at Haifa University, who's also the immediate past president of the university after serving in that position since 2004. Let me tell you a little bit more about Dr. Ben Ze'ev. A graduate himself of the University of Haifa, he received his PhD here in America from the University of Chicago and has earned a reputation as one of the world's leading experts in the study of emotions, doing groundbreaking work on the subject of love. His books include In the Name of Love, Romantic Ideology and Its Victims, and Love Online, Emotions on the Internet. And Aaron Ben Ze'ev has also made a remarkable contribution to the development of the University of Haifa, and it has become a leader in marine biology with the philanthropic assistance of Leon Charney, who has established the School of Marine Sciences at Haifa University. And Aaron, thank you so much for joining us. A pleasure to sit with you. I had the pleasure of being with you a couple nights ago. You were a delightful, lovely person, and you've done extraordinary work on the Israeli scene, so it's lovely for me to have a chance to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. Can I learn a little bit first about you? Where were you born?
I born in Kibbutz and Carmel in Israel, and I lived there for 40 years.
You're a Sabra.
I'm a Sabra, yes.
And again, can you give me roughly, you were born around when?
I was born in 1949.
So right after the establishment of the State of Israel.
Yeah, yeah.
Where were your parents from?
Poland.
Both of them?
Yeah, both of them. They came in the early 30s, and I had two brothers. One of them, my older brother, was killed in the Six-Day War.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, and I studied at the University of Haifa as both a student at a bachelor level and then a master level, and came back to the university as a lecturer over 30 years ago, and since then I'm at the university.
Okay, and how do you become not only involved in philosophy, but in the study of emotions and love? What draws you there?
Look, I believe that understanding human mind is the most interesting thing that we have, and this is what I wanted to do since I was a child. And so my field is the philosophy of psychology, and in my PhD at Chicago, I study sense perception and then turn to emotions. I think that emotions are the most complex mental phenomenon, and romantic love is the most complex emotion. So naturally, I'm studying romantic love.
But is romantic love the most complex? Is it more complex, for example, than anger?
Yeah, much more complex, because anger is mainly your emotion, your attitude toward the other. In romantic love, you have the interaction between yourself and the others, and despite the fact that so many wrote about romantic love, still there is a lot to write about. And now, for example, I'm completing a book on romantic compromises. It is phenomenon that everyone knows, almost everyone, let's say, but there is no scholarly work on it. And I believe that my book will be the first that will discuss this issue. So there are many issues to discuss about love, although it seems to be so close, so familiar.
Yes. Aaron, what is the difference between love and the word that we use in English is chemistry? You somehow see a woman sees a man, and there is some extraordinary attraction, sexual, physical, and then sometimes just emotional attraction. But there is a difference between again, chemistry between a man and a woman and love. How do you identify the difference?
I characterize romantic love as consisting of two basic patterns, evaluative patterns. One, attraction, which is mainly sexual attraction, and one, praiseworthiness of the characteristic. Positive evaluation of the characteristic. In order to be in love, romantically, you need the two aspects. And the chemistry is underlying this attraction. So you have a person, you see a person, you have attraction, it is not enough. If it is merely attraction, it is sexual desire. You need something else, companionate love, friendship, which consists of caring, reciprocity, a sense of humor. You know, most women and men want to see in their partner sense of humor. One of the three characteristics that they want to see in a partner is a sense of humor. So all of this together is what constitutes romantic love.
What are the other two?
There are different caring. Caring is very important. For men, external appearance is more important than for women. But sense of humor, reciprocity, also very important in romantic love. It should not be one-way attitude. It should be reciprocal. And so it is complex romantic love, but we know for sure that the two attitudes should be together. You cannot say to someone, darling, I love you, so you are ugly because your brain compensated. She will not take it. She wants to hear that she is both pretty and very wise. Otherwise, she will not accept you.
Okay.
And because both evaluations should be present in our attitude toward the other, in the attitude of the other toward us.
That's lovely. I love what you're saying. You know the phrase in English, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. That in some way, every now and then we meet somebody who tells us they have met someone who's gorgeous, who's beautiful, and the person walks in the room and we don't see the beauty. Do you understand and can you talk about why it is that this is not about objective beauty, it's about subjective beauty, is it not?
Not. It is not. It is not. There is quite agreement about what beauty is, but who is a handsome person. Most of the people will agree with a handsome person. So there is some objectivity in this. But you can compensate for this. For example, if your partner is not that beautiful, you said, okay, but she is kind, but her parents have a lot of money. This compensates for the beauty, and then you give less weight to the beauty. The subjective attitude consists of giving different weights to each characteristic. So if your partner is good in something, you give a lot of significance and weight to this characteristic, then you can love him or her and ignore the weak point. Because to the weak point, let's say she is not the most beautiful girl on earth, but you said, okay, beauty is not that important. She's fine, but beauty is not that important, and indeed, for the long term, beauty is less important than being kind, being caring, and having a lot of money. But you know, you mentioned that I wrote a book on love on the internet.
Yes.
In the internet, the external appearance is less important. It's less important because the communication is mainly through verbal communication, through writing. It is conversation.
Although usually what encourages someone on the internet to respond to another person is a picture they have seen, as well as how they describe themselves.
Yes, but picture, everyone can put a beautiful picture on the net. It can be of some movie star, but can also be his or her picture, which is from a nice angle, and she's very beautiful. But it doesn't count, because, you know, in time, there is some kind of taking our perception of beauty to the average. For example, someone who at the beginning we see as very handsome, very beautiful, after a while we see her or him as less beautiful, more towards the average. And the other way, the other direction. If we see someone as ugly at the beginning, later on we get used to, and he or she go to the middle. So in the long term, external appearance is of less importance in long-term love, long-term relationship, and the characteristics, personal characteristics, are more important. And in online relationship, most of the time, it is just conversation. You cannot see like in offline circumstances, sit with your partner near the TV and speak nothing, just watch TV. You must speak all the time on the internet. Therefore, verbal communication is more important, and verbal abilities, such as being with sense of humor, wise, witty, brilliant. These are more important, and these are characteristics which are more important for the long term. So, if you overcome the problem of external appearance, meeting someone on the internet has a great chance. I mean, in one survey, people after they were on the internet for 3 months met, the first face-to-face meeting is a killer. Only 10% survive.
Really?
In one survey, yeah. But after the first meeting, if you survive it, after 3 years, 72% of them were still together with intense love, because conversation, like courtship, reveal personal characteristics which are important for the long run. But you have to overcome this issue of attractiveness, this issue of chemistry that you mentioned at the beginning. If you overcome this, your chances of staying together are quite high.
Aaron, are you married?
I'm married. You have 2 sons.
2 sons? How long have you been married?
26 years, 27.
Oh, you're a kid. You're a kid. So, Aaron, is your wife beautiful?
She is very much so. By the way, when people tell that I'm expert on love, she quickly said, yes, he's very good in theory.
You know, chemistry can often be what sparks the relationship.
Yeah.
And then people say that over the years, chemistry becomes less important. It doesn't mean you don't love the person the same way, but that the sexual dimension of the relationship changes. What have you found to be true?
Look, this is a good question. Emotions emerge when we perceive a significant change in our situation. So change is important for emotions, and change cannot last for a long time. So emotions, by their nature, are brief, and therefore sexual desire is also decreasing during the time. I mean, in one survey, the frequency of sexual intercourse was a year after marriage, about half of what it was a month after marriage. And as most of us know, it continued to decrease after the first year. Okay, but it doesn't mean that the passion or the spark or the click should disappear. In many cases, it does disappear. But there are group of people, 10, 15%, in which their love is intense even after many years. There was an experiment. They took couple who are married and in love after 20 and 30 years. It was very hard to find the sample. But once they found it, they put each of them in fMRI and chose a picture of the partner. And in those who were in love, they saw in the same brain activity which is in infatuation. So actually, there is evidence that love and passionate love can last for many years. This is one aspect. There is an interesting issue. What is common to all these people?
Yes.
One thing is common. This is another study, a psychological study. And this is that they see each other in the same way that they perceived 30 years ago. And for example, one former mayor of Tel Aviv, he said, when I look at my wife now, I see the same beautiful girl I met 40 years ago.
Do you understand that?
Yes.
I do too. I do too.
Yes. I mean, it is hard to explain because you may say that he's lying.
He's not lying.
Yeah, but since he's not lying, since we know that politicians never lie. Yeah, so he's not lying. Now, how can we explain it? Positive illusions. Positive illusions. It is, positive illusions are very important for long-term happiness and for long-term love. Of course his wife has changed. She has now wrinkles. Everyone can see it. So, and he is not blind. He can see it. But he doesn't pay attention to it. He doesn't give it weight.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Give weight for, let's say, something in her face. Maybe her smile, her look. And this is what remains. And to this he gave the most weight. And therefore, yes, he still sees her as beautiful and is still passionately in love with her.
Well, it's very, very, very beautiful. And I believe what you say is 100% true. It doesn't happen.
But not for 100% people.
I would say it does not happen for everyone.
Yeah, yeah. And for the other part, there is the book that I'm writing now. And this is about romantic compromises. Romantic compromises is when you marry or stay in marriage while giving up romantic value.
What does that mean?
Mean that you stay in the marriage not because of love, but because of something else. Because it is comfortable to you. Because you care for the kids, whatever. You will not believe how many women told me that at their wedding, they knew that the partner is a compromise for them. And then I asked them, so why did you marry them? And so some of them say to me, I thought that marriage will change him. I thought that the kids will change him. And some of them say to me, well, the invitations were already out.
It would be too embarrassing.
Too embarrassing. And at the beginning, I was amazed. But more and more women told me about this. By the way, women like more to talk with me about these issues than men. So
I don't doubt it.
Yes, men are dealing with more important issues, cars, sport, the army. Women are dealing with these insignificant issues of the art.
If your sons, are either of your sons married?
Not yet.
Okay. If you had a son who said to you, Abba, I feel I'm compromising when I'm marrying the woman I'm about to marry. What would your response be? How would you feel if your child told you that the person they were marrying, they felt they were compromising?
I would say to him, don't marry. I mean, it is one thing.
Not marry. You'd say don't marry if
Don't
you
marry.
feel it's a compromise.
Yeah, I say this at the beginning. When you feel compromised already at the marriage, there are little chance that the marriage will survive. I mean, later on, you may feel somewhat compromised, but not to compromise at the beginning. Steve Jobs said, don't settle on work, don't settle on love. Keep searching.
It can be very frightening, you know.
It is. It can be frightening, and I'm not sure it is the best advice. I mean, in work, yes, keep searching until you find some work that you like. In love, you may begin to feel compromised later on. Not everyone feel compromised at the wedding. On the contrary, most people, I hope, they feel not compromising. But later on, when you feel that it is not the best in all worlds with your partner, then you have to consider whether to remain in the marriage while feeling compromised or to take the step of divorce.
Do people change? If a woman says, I'm hoping marriage changes him, and that's, as I marry him, I'm already thinking of what he will become either when he marries me or when we have children. Is that a realistic perspective to have?
No, on the contrary. Most women that I am speaking with say to me, at the marriage, I didn't know him so well. And after the marriage, the bad points
Became
emerged.
more evident.
So if you already in the marriage see that he's not fitting to you, don't go over there. There are, as we say, there are many fish in the ocean. Keep searching while you are not married. After you are married, after you have children, then there is responsibility, there is commitment, and it is something different. And I remember high school girls came to me from the city of Haifa, and they wanted to interview me about love, and asked me, give us tip, some advice, what to do. Said to them, the one thing I'll give you, don't marry while you compromise. This is at the beginning. There are now opportunities to meet many people, and you can find someone that you love and not someone that you merely feel that it is a second, third, or fourth choice.
What is the most wonderful aspect of being in love with somebody, real love?
This is the greatest experience that a human can experience. It is the wish to be together, the thinking about each other, the positive attitude that you have. All these are contributing to a great experience of love, and therefore, people these days tend less and less to make romantic compromises. It seems now, despite the high percentage of divorce, that love becomes more and more important because people can find love. And I would say love is making now an impressive comeback in our area. I would say that this time is the best and the worst time for lovers. It is the best time for lovers because love is all around and you can find it easily. It is the worst time because you have to choose among many alternatives. And by choosing one, you have to commit, and many of those who are committed feel that they did compromise, that they compromise because there are so many other alternatives. The presence of so many alternatives makes the lover's life, the modern lover lives, wonderful. They can pick so many good people. But it makes them miserable because it makes it harder for them to settle, to be happy with their lot, and they constantly feel that they make romantic compromises. So the problem of romantic compromises becomes central in our society.
And is there any specific problem that you have seen that distinguishes the Israeli social setting from, for example, America or Europe? You know, here in America, we always are sensitive to the fact that the Israeli, who is living a wonderful life, and most Israelis have been able to live a full, varied, embracing kind of life, despite whatever international pressures are placed on Israel and whatever the, being in this sea of the Arab world, somehow the Israelis don't want. At the same time, we do imagine there are tensions, sometimes maybe even unconscious or subconscious. To what extent does this affect how young Israelis looking for love relate to each other and look at marriage and the world?
I think that now, all over the world, the cultural differences are decreasing. Decreasing because there is the internet, and the internet is common to everybody. There is the globalization. What is globalization? Globalization is breaking boundaries. Boundaries of culture, boundaries of the country. So, and there is connection. So many connections between people all over the world. And therefore, I would say the American culture is getting more and more into all other cultures, the Western culture. And so also in Israel, I think the differences are decreasing. Also the differences, by the way, gender differences are decreasing. On the internet, the gender differences decrease very, very much. Men become more sensitive. Have you heard about it? Suddenly they become sensitive like women traditionally are perceived to be. And women become on the internet more assertive like men. Because the internet and the modern world eliminate or at least decrease inhibitions and differences. It is a kind, the internet is kind of equality. The equality on the internet is quite significant.
Yes. In America, there is a very famous Jewish sociologist named Stephen Cohen at NYU. And he has done many studies, and one of them is about what is it that attracts one individual to another individual. And his concern is a concern in the Jewish community, throughout the Jewish community. We always want our children to find, fall in love with, and marry other Jews, that the Jewish people can continue generation after generation. Yeah. And at the same time, you can't make someone fall in love. And he has studied what is it about attraction and what is the best way to enhance the probability that a Jew will fall in love with another Jew. I don't know if that's realistic, and I wanted to know from your perspective. Have you ever studied, do you have any feelings about what is it about a person of one's own community, of one's own, quote, race, the feeling that you're going to stay within the family, which sometimes is very attractive to an individual, and sometimes our children want to go outside the community. And in an open world, Aaron, everybody is now open to them. And we encourage an open world. And you've even written about what it is like to be on the, once you go on the internet, you have the world as a possible source to find somebody that you can spend your life with. Do you have any instinct at all here about how it is, what it is that makes a person either gravitate to or not gravitate to someone inside the quote family?
Look, in global communities, this problem will become more severe and more severe in the future because, as you said, the boundaries disappear, or at least they are not that strong. But I can say to you that when you have some similarity, background similarity between the two, their chances of good marriage are higher. And I think one issue here is to make them, the Jewish boys, girls, to meet more with each other. This is the best. This is the best way to do some social activities that they will just see each other and see that they are very good people to be associated with. We cannot force them, but we should create opportunities that will increase their willingness to meet each other, and when they meet each other and fall in love, the way to marriage is right away.
There is always a tendency to conflate two issues, sex and love.
Yeah.
What you have said to us at the beginning is the sexual passion and chemistry and the sexual dimension of a relationship is very important.
Yeah.
It's not the entirety.
Exactly.
I want to know, in your experience, and again, everybody's different. I'm just saying in the general, does sex mean to women what sex means to men? Does love mean to men what love means to women?
Okay. Generally, there is a difference, but the difference is decreasing these days. Generally, if a woman has extramarital affair, is not merely sexual, but emotional as well. Men have more extramarital affairs, or affairs, not only extramarital affairs, which are merely sexual. Yes, in the relationship, for women, typically, the emotional aspect is more important, as it is more important for women in other field. For men, they can take it with less emotions.
So if somebody said to you, is there a secret or a formula to a good marriage? Do you think there is, or would you come back to this notion that every couple has to find their own way?
Look, in my view, I present Aristotelian distinction. I'm a philosopher. Between intrinsic and extrinsic activity. Intrinsic activity, the activity that we do for its own sake. We enjoy it. Extrinsic, we do it for other external goal. If in the marriage there are many intrinsic activity that the couple are doing together and enjoy their togetherness, and together with this, each has his or her own individual extrinsic activities, such as in work or otherwise, then the marriage will be very good. I mean, people should feel happy, should be fulfilling their capacity, feeling that they are flourishing while being married. And this can be done, that each of them will do what they want. I don't speak about sex, or I speak generally. Each of them will be involved in significant intrinsic activity, such as writing, such as dancing, such as whatever work one does, and their activity together will be of intrinsic value. So if they go to a lousy movie, they still enjoy the evening because they were out together. This is a sign. And the more intrinsic activity they have in their relationship together, the better the marriage is.
I want to give you an answer, and I want you to tell me how comfortable you are with my answer. Mm-hmm. You know, some people say, that in a marriage, one of the spouses loves the other one more than the other. And that it's very lucky when each spouse thinks they love the other person even more than they're loved. But I would say that while everybody finds their way, what I'm hoping is that when two people fall in love and then decide to get married and build a life together, the husband feels there's nothing more important to him than the happiness of his wife. Mm-hmm. And the wife feels there's nothing more important to her than the happiness of her husband. And that together they try to create a world in which they bring happiness to the other. And as long as one is thinking, I want you to be happy, that somehow they have a real chance of creating something special. To what extent are you comfortable with my saying that?
Very comfortable. I agree with every word that you said. The issue of reciprocity is central in marriage, in every relationship. Reciprocity doesn't mean to do exactly the same what the other do. So if the husband buy a diamond ring to his wife, next week she doesn't have to buy a diamond ring to him. Reciprocity means listening and being sensitive to the needs of the other.
You are very wise, Aaron. So I have to change gears for a minute.
I'm in your hands.
From 2004 to 2012, you were president of Haifa University, which is not only one of the wonderful institutions of Israel, it is becoming a world leader in certain areas. Your students are lucky to have you as a professor. I wish I'd had you when I was a student. But you also served in a real administrative position, and you have done extraordinary work building Haifa University into one of Israel's leading universities. And you know, the common names are Weizmann, Technion, Hebrew University. And now Haifa has become a world-class institution. Speak to me just for a moment about what it was like for you and what you're most proud of as you look back at your tenure as president of Haifa University.
I think that I'm most proud of the speedy economic progress of the university. We have built a great university. We used to be only social sciences, humanity, education, and we built sciences and other aspects, for example, marine sciences. We are the best in the country in marine sciences. We are leading now consortium of all research universities in Israel about study the Mediterranean, and I'm proud that we could do it. President, his or her work is also with people. And I think I knew how to deal with people with care, with love, with sympathy, and to make of them the best. As someone said, you know what is the best marriage? When one can take the best out of the partner. And I think that I try to do it with my wonderful faculty members. And we are indeed a university with a soul. University that not merely has academic excellence, which in various fields we are indeed the best in the country, but also a neshama. Also a heart to a social responsibility. We are not living in a vacuum. And we don't, at the university, we don't merely give information. We give also values. And the value is the Israeli society. How we shall maintain the Israeli society in a value manner, how we overcome the gaps, the rifts in the Israeli society. We have students at our university from all over sectors of the Israeli society, Jewish, Arab, ultra-religious, new immigrants, periphery, center, rich, poor, and all of them together create a wonderful combination of a human society within the university.
I want to stay with this idea of the neshama of Haifa University, because I have seen that the student body, again, has this enormous breadth. There are Jews from every sector of the community. You have Jews from the Ethiopian immigrant community, from the Russian immigrant community. You have many Arab Israelis at Haifa University. I don't know if it's a disproportionate number compared with other universities, but there certainly is a large percentage of your student body is Arab Israeli.
The percentage of Arab students at the University of Haifa is about 20%, which is their percentage in the population, but it is more, of course, than in other universities.
Exactly.
And we are proud of it. I think that we are proud of our coexistence policy. And the bottom line is great success, because there was no one class that was cancelled because of Jewish-Arab hostility or dispute. There are disputes, of course there are disputes, but we should take the moderate manner, the moderate way, compromise. We should make a compromise, because we cannot let the extreme people get into our life and ruin it. So sometimes I prohibit very extreme, let's say, people from this side or that side to enter the university.
You prohibit that?
I prohibit it in some cases of the Arab, in 3 cases that they sue me to court, and the court upheld my decision, justified, and they said that it was within the reasonable consideration of good management.
Aaron, this is fascinating. What was it about the Arab group or the Arab individual that would make you say you cannot come into the university?
I said that their coming, it was one extreme Arab person who also was in court, indicted in court, and I said that if he will come, we will incite dispute, maybe even riots, and I'm not at the university in order to allow riots. We are here to study, and I don't want riots. I don't prohibit him to speak wherever he wants, at whatever he wants to be, but not at the university. And these are merely the extreme example, because many Arabs, of course, members of parliament and other Arabs, coming to the university and lecturing, and there are social activity, no problem. But if we let the very few extreme interfere and trying to incite riot within the university, I think we are not doing the right things. I think most people on both sides want peaceful coexistence, want to study, and I don't think that I would do my duty if I would allow them to enter. Some people criticize me, but the fact is that in 3 different cases, they sue me to court, and 3 different judges upheld my decision.
Did all of them involve an Arab extremist?
The 3 that were, these cases were Arab extremists.
Is there an example of someone on the, I guess, far extreme right that you would have trouble with as well?
I would have, but first, I mean, I did not prohibit, and I cannot prohibit members of the Knesset, of the parliament. There I must, and some of them were very extreme on both sides, and everyone entered the university and gave a speech. I think that there is more incentive to the extreme Arab to come to the university because the university has a great population of young intellectual Arab students. And this is very good place for them to mobilize their supporters.
Interesting.
It is
Bright people?
Huh?
Bright people.
Yeah, bright and
Motivated.
motivated, but all kind of people. On the left, University of Haifa is not a place, sorry, on the right, very extreme right, University of Haifa is not a place that can mobilize many supporters. But on the Arab side, they can mobilize. Therefore, they have greater incentive to come to the university and incite the students.
You pointed out that at no time was a class had to be suspended because of disputes between Arab Israelis and Jewish Israelis.
Yeah.
But there have been disputes.
Of course.
For example, over what?
Many examples that are keen to the Arab student, and there were a few demonstrations, but this is a freedom of speech. It's fine. I mean, if you, we have a few thousands Arab students out of the 18, almost 20,000 students at our university. So if there are demonstrations once in a month, 2 months, 20 minutes, 70 people, it's fine. This is the freedom of speech. I don't mind it. But we should know that the university is, first of all, a place to study, and I'm proud of the values that we give to people and the various activities that we are doing concerning coexistence, concerning new immigrant, concerning everything for strengthening the Israeli society. Now, the Arab situation is not merely the Israeli-Arab situation. It's not merely a problem of the Arabs, but it is a problem of the Israeli society. If we shall not deal with it and promote various aspects of their life, the Israeli society will be in danger. But for doing this, we should not let the extremists do what they want.
At the moment, there are people who point out, both in America and, more important, in Israel, that the Arab Israeli does have, in certain ways, a second-class citizenship. They are citizens with extraordinary rights compared with Arabs in other countries in the Middle East. But within the Israeli society, they do not have the same, quite the same status, and very often they are economically deprived compared with similar, the Jewish Israeli population in general. I want you to speak to two questions. At Haifa University, are Arab students or Arab Israeli students in some way second-class students? If I spoke to an Arab Israeli student at Haifa, what do you think the Arab Israeli would tell me about his or her experience at Haifa? And then I'll ask you what you feel about the problem of second-class citizenship for Arabs in Israel in general. But begin with just Haifa University. If I spoke to an Arab student at Haifa, what do you think they'd say to me?
I think that most of them will say that they enjoyed their studies, that university gave them very much, and they are not second-class students at the University of Haifa, also not lecturers. I work very hard to recruit many more Arab lecturers, and we have a greater percentage of Arab lecturers at our university than in other university. I appointed a vice president who is in Arab. So I think within the university they don't feel it, although there are extreme students that want more. Okay, all of us want more. We cannot get everything. Concerning the Israeli society, it is a problem. I know that there are now steps being taken in order to cope to promote them, not enough. I think now the Israeli government realize again that even from economic point of view, if the Arabs as well as the ultra-Orthodox will not be integrating in the labor market, it will be economic problem to Israeli society. So there are now, from the Treasury Ministry, resources for making these two sectors of the Israeli society more productive and more integrated into the labor market. And this is, I think, very important. I think that on the level of bachelor, Arabs can get anywhere they want. And now what we should put more resources is at the graduate level. There are many Arabs at the graduate level, not enough. There are quite a few Arab lecturers, not enough. On this level, we should invest more resources, and the University of Haifa does so very much.
Okay, also, as someone who has spent his professional life in Israeli education and Israeli academia, every now and then we hear again reports on how today's Israel is not living up to the educational standards that once reflected Israeli society as a whole. I just would love your assessment of where you think the educational system in general, even before a university level, and then how do you feel the educational standards are now at the university level, not only at Haifa University, but in Israel as a whole?
First, I want to say that the kids are now, they are not worse than we are, they are better than we are. The new generation, it becomes better and better because this generation has more information, more resources, more opportunities to develop. This is one thing. Second, we have a problem with our elementary educational system. We have a problem. It is not as good as we want.
Because?
Because I'm not sure. I'm not sure why. I think that the quality of the students is high, but it is a huge system. Bureaucracy is a lot in this system. There are attempts to improve it, and there are signs of improvement, but not enough. It is not acceptable that, for example, in mathematics, we should be well below, let's say, some country, third world country. It is not conceivable. By the way, the ultra-Orthodox students that we have at our university, they are excellent students. Why? Because in the Jewish tradition, we begin to study from age 2, 3, and someone who begin to study so early cannot be a bad student. And we are proud. We have about 1,000 ultra-Orthodox students at our university. The university level is better, is much better. The Israeli students or the Israeli universities are very good, given the limited resources that we have. In compare to American university, we have much less resources. I want to say that the present government increased in the last 2 years allocation to the higher education, but still it is not enough and it does not come close to the budget that the American university have.
Aaron, why are you stepping down? Why have you left? You should be president for life.
You know, at our university, it's like the American system. President can be 4 + 4.
Oh, really? Is that what it is?
Yeah, this is a rule at our university.
Ah.
And I think it is a good rule. Also, otherwise it would not be in the United States. And I'm proud to be president of 2
For 2 terms?
Two terms now, I finish 8 years, and I think generally rotation is good.
You know, Aaron, you spoke about the neshama of Haifa University. You have an extraordinary neshama. It has been wonderful talking to you and meeting you. I want you to sit in that chair many, many times. There are many, many other things we haven't even gotten to that I want to talk to you. But you're beginning another phase of your academic career. Your books are wonderful. I want to mention them again, by the way. In the Name of Love, Romantic Ideology and Its Victims. Love Online, Emotions on the Internet, both in English. You can find both of them on Amazon. I wish you kol tuv hatzlacha in all you do, and I hope if I'm in Israel, I get to meet you and Ruth together, and that whenever you're in the United States, you stop by here. It has been wonderful.
Thank you very much. I enjoy very much speaking with you, and really it was a real pleasure. Thank you for your question, and we shall meet again.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much.
And those are the thoughts of Dr. Aaron Ben Ze'ev, Professor of Philosophy and the immediate past president of the University of Haifa. I hope you enjoyed meeting him as much as I did. As always, we'd love to hear your reactions to the ideas expressed by Aaron Ben Ze'ev. Please email me, write me, post on our Facebook wall, or tweet me. I look forward to hearing from you. Until the next time, I'm Mark Golub. L'chaim, my friends, to life.
We would be pleased to send a complimentary DVD of this program to anyone who wishes to support Shalom TV with a tax-deductible gift of $36, double chai or more, to the nonprofit organization Jewish Education in Media. Simply visit the Shalom TV website homepage and click on the Donate button to make a donation by PayPal or your credit card. And please indicate the program for which you would like a DVD. Or you can send your tax-deductible check made out to GEM. To GEM, Post Office Box 180, Riverdale Station, Bronx, New York, 10471. And again, please remember to indicate which program you would like to receive on DVD with our compliments. And we thank you for your kind support.
L'chaim is a presentation of Jewish Education in Media.